Do you want to learn how to get healthy, perform at your best, and create body composition changes that last? In this podcast, we're going to talk about all things fitness, nutrition, health, and mindset. You're going to learn how to create real results, and most importantly, how to maintain those results in the long run. I'm Johan.
I'm Kristine,
and you're listening to Talking Nutrition. What's up, and welcome back to episode 8, Talking Nutrition. Today we're going to talk about steps. Neat, one of our very favorite topics, I think, right?
Yes.
We're both very big on this. Personally, but also with our clients. So we'll also get into like the personal stuff in a sec. But to kind of recap already or summarize what we're going to talk about today, first of all, we're going to get into the actual benefits of increasing your step count. I'll say this right off the bat, like when we're talking steps or daily movement or NEAT, let's consider that all being like one and the same, just to make things easier, right? So when we're talking steps or NEAT, same.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about walking for fat loss and how it can really help you maintain fat loss as well, but also just general health. How to get them up, because I think getting your steps up, like, okay, we can talk about all the benefits, but let's also apply that to you, right? Let's figure out how we can get your daily steps up. But yeah, let's just get into kind of like what we've been doing, because we're both big on this. Personally, I'm applying this right now because I'm still in the fat loss phase. You just went on a hiking trip. Now, before we start, real quick, if you don't yet, follow us at Talking Nutrition Podcast on Instagram for some shorter reels. If you want to check them out, if you want to submit any questions, you can do it there as well. Now, for me, personally, in this cut, like I really got to double down on my steps. I noticed that at one point, my step count was just low. And I thought it was the iPhone step counter, because I was like, it can't be right anyway. It's like, it says something like 4K or whatever. I was like, that's not right. I know I'm moving, because my actual step counter, my Fitbit broke. And I was like, you know what? Like, let me actually get one of these, like the portable ones, like the ones that you can put in your pocket. I should have it here, yeah. So I have like a old school one now.
I saw you post that.
Actually,
I've had clients who've had to use those because they work in certain areas where they can't have their phone.
Yeah.
And they're great.
I mean, like it was like $30 or something, whatever.
Yeah, you can get them right off Amazon.
Exactly, and that's where I got them. Like, but that's the thing. I thought it was my iPhone step counter, and I was like, this can't be right. Like I'm moving, Turns out I was barely walking, So my step count was actually low, but I like this one anyway, so I'll keep it. But I really had to double down. Cody actually recommended me doing that, and he said, like, yo, you just gotta get your 10 steps in, or 10K steps in. He's like, you have no excuse, really, like, we can always get that in, and it's a matter of priorities and actually doing it. And that's what I've been doing. I've been doing more emails while walking, taking calls. Sometimes when I struggle writing, articles and stuff, I go out, I try to brainstorm, I write stuff down. Sometimes I stop because I'm like so much into it, all of a sudden
me too.
your brain starts to work like better,
Yeah, you get more clarity.
It's crazy. It really does a whole lot. And sure, we talk about this, for fat loss reasons too. We'll get into that. But it's just big in general for your mind, for your overall health. And so last weekend, reason I wanted to talk about this, I just played 2 festivals with my band. Now, a lot of traveling, flying to Europe. Day 1, we flew in, picked up a drummer, crazy delays. We made it to the festival, so we had traffic, like everything was like, it was a shit show, We get there like 15 minutes before set time, so we had to like unload, get on stage, and pretty much just play right away. But we made it happen. But long story short, a lot of driving, a lot of traveling, a lot of craziness. I still hit my 10K steps that day, even though I was like doing the driving and, like we didn't walk that much. I just went for a walk. I texted my girlfriend. I'm like, no, I'm just walking around the festival terrain as a real fitness nerd now to hit my steps, But I still made it happen. I'm in the current fat loss phase. I'm just done. I just want to get it over with. So that 10K, it has to happen. Next day too, still hit my 10K. Yesterday too, I had 2 flights, a long layover, still getting my steps in. I was walking around the airport, So I'm still trying to prioritize that on a daily basis. It's really one of the number one priorities I have currently.
Yeah.
What about you? You went to the mountains, right?
Yeah. So for me with steps, I will give myself a minimum. Okay. So I give myself about like 7,500 as a minimum for the day. So every single day I need to be hitting at least 7,500. And then I try to get 10, maybe even more. Okay. And this is really important. I make it a priority. And I do for clients as well. When we're on vacation, if we're not working out, still getting in some movement and doing that by steps, right? So we'll prioritize same type of thing, like 7,500 to 10K steps, just so we are moving. I went on a hiking trip. Well, I hiked some of the days and like all day long. So I was like 30,000 step range. That's getting out of NEAT and more into exercise. Like there's kind of an upper limit there with NEAT where it does, or walking or steps, that it does go more into exercise. But then, the other days I still prioritize getting at least like the 7,500 to 10K steps. It's a priority to keep me moving while I'm away, and every single day. So it's something that I just prioritize every single day, doesn't matter where I am. And it's because it has so many benefits, which we'll talk about.
For sure. Yeah, like I said, even like just for mental reasons, right? And especially since you went out in nature, it's so much better even. Like,
oh, yeah.
It's like doubles the benefit,
It does. Yeah. Why we focus on step count, there's many reasons to it, but from a fat loss standpoint or body composition standpoint or metabolism standpoint, it's really important. So when we look at TDEE, which is total daily energy expenditure, which is essentially how many calories or how much energy we burn in a day, there's four main factors that play into that. So we've talked about this before, but the main one makes up about 70% is BMR. So basal metabolic rate, which is how much you burn at rest, like doing nothing. That's 70%. 15% is NEAT. So NEAT is non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So that's all activity outside of exercise. So walking is a big one. This is the one that we can essentially track, right? So we can see other parts of NEAT, or like if you're watching me, I talk with my hands. That's NEAT. I'm moving, I'm fidgeting, blinking, cleaning your house, dancing, like those kind of things are considered NEAT. They're just movement outside of activity. Then we have 10%, which is thermic defective food, which is the energy we burn digesting food. Then we have exercise activity, which is like 5%. So exercise activity makes up the least amount, as we can see, and NEAT, non-exercise activity, makes up for the second largest aspect of our energy expenditure. So with Johan and how he's keeping up his steps is because naturally, like in a fat loss phase, your NEAT will decrease because your body's trying to conserve energy. So you will get up slower, you'll blink slower, you'll just move less. So we track steps to keep NEAT high and keep that metabolism higher through a deficit. So that can really helps in regards to that. But the benefits of step/walking, there's many. One big one is it can help with digestion. So like going on a 10-minute walk following a meal can be really helpful in regards to digestion. It's a parasympathetic movement. So you're tapping into the rest and digest. And that's really important when we're trying to digest our food. If we're in a fight or flight response, the body just doesn't prioritize digestion. So the walking can help that. It also can help with blood sugar regulation. Again, post-meal walk, using your muscles, they're going to uptake that glucose. Okay, so really good from a blood sugar regulation standpoint. And I have my mom who's diabetic, and I have a client who has type 2 diabetes. Well, they're thinking it's type 1. I don't know. There's a whole weird thing happening there. But anyways, we track obviously her blood sugar levels, and one of the most powerful tools we've used is post-meal walks. It helps to lower her glucose levels immensely. And the same with my mom. So morning walks, this can help with circadian rhythm. It's getting you in the sun, morning sun, which can help with sleep at night. It helps to essentially increase melatonin production. So if you're getting morning sun, we can see that benefiting your sleep at night and just helping overall circadian rhythm, which is like your wake and sleep cycles. I don't know if you notice this. I'm pretty sure everyone notices this, but when they get outside, it doesn't even matter if you're technically like in nature, but just getting outside, going for a walk, you feel better, right?
100%.
That's because it's increasing dopamine, it's increasing serotonin. And then typically, because it's a parasympathetic movement, it's going to decrease cortisol. So you just are in a better state overall, but mentally it helps so much, just relaxes you. And it's because of this, it's increasing the dopamine, increasing the serotonin. And this can really help with people who have the seasonal like affective disorders, where like in the winter, I mean, you must deal with this like a lot, the people over it's there rough. Where it's, yeah. But when it's like really gloomy all the time, things like that, actually just getting outside in nature again can help with this. I have a client who deals with it, and this is really beneficial for him as well. So we have this study that was done in 2020. And it was basically talking about step count and all-cause mortality. We both made a post on this, right? So there was 48,000 participants in this study. Hold on, let me just pull this up. Okay, so 48,000 participants in the study. The results essentially were compared with taking 4,000 steps per day. Taking 8,000 steps per day was associated with significantly lower all-cause mortality, as was taking 12,000 steps per day. So it is so beneficial for overall health in so many different ways, obviously. I think that concludes the benefits section, but yeah.
I mean, it's really cool. And I just got to correct you there for a sec. It was 4,800. But
what did I say?
Like,
did I say 48,000?
Yeah. But I mean, either way, that's a shitload of people, you know? So like, you know, but the reason I made the post on that study is the fact that you actually have that graph, right? You
the graph.
Clearly see that like 4,000 steps or 2 or whatever is a high risk of all-cause mortality. And then as those steps go up, you really see that risk go down. And then around like 10 to 12K, it kind of like flattens out a little bit, which also gets into, you know, when you mentioned 30, like people always make everything a race, right? But like once you're at 12 or something, you can walk more, 100%, it's fine, but it's not going to be even better, you know?
Yeah.
So like once you get to that sweet spot, so once you're there, like you're good kind of thing, you know? And it's so cool to see that. And I mean, this study is like a more recent one, which is great. And it has a lot of people to kind of show, you know, that walking is really one of the number one things you could do for your health.
Yes.
And that everyone can do as well.
And I have people where, you know, they're just starting into their fitness journey. I will have them simply increase their step count first before even, going into the gym, right? Like just to get them moving. And this is a habit that sticks with you, that you just continue to, I hope, do for as long as you can, right? Just because it has so many benefits.
Yeah. Technically, I think I want to point this out. Like, so NEAT, like going for a walk on purpose, technically isn't NEAT because then we're like planning, and then people on social media kind of turn this into a discussion. It's like, oh, it's like a planned exercise. Like, yeah, sure, yes, you are right. However, let's just keep it simple and see this as a way to get our daily movement up, our NEAT. Whether it's a planned walk or not, we're just trying to do this for our health, right?
It's a non-stressful movement.
Yeah.
Right. So
and that's why it's so great. Like
it's increasing your energy expenditure, but without the added stress of exercise. Yeah. Right. So yeah, I guess you could call it exercise. Even if it's planned, I still consider it NEAT.
Yeah. But for some people it is exercise,
Yes. That's something I will say. That's something I will say. So say you're just starting to like track your steps and you're at like 3,000. You don't want to just jump up to 10 because yes, that would probably be for someone who's so low, that would be considered, it would be somewhat stressful on the body, I guess you could say. So if you're at like 3,000, bump it up to 4,500. And then slowly bump it up. Like, don't just go from 3,000 to 10.
Yeah. Because that would be unsustainable.
Yes.
Like you wouldn't be able to stick to that.
Yeah. It's like anything else. You want to just slowly progress with it. It's like you don't want to go to the gym 0 and then go 6 days a week.
Yeah.
Right? It's the same thing.
Yeah. But we tend to think like that, right? Like, oh, I'm going from not exercising to, wait, hang on, let me do a marathon, even though my daily steps are now like 3,000. Like, let's take it easy. Like, let's slowly build it up, Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Walking is really important, guys. And getting into our next point, like also for fat loss. Like you mentioned, 15% of your TDEE, your daily calorie burn. That's NEAT, which is very easy to influence by walking. It's also very easy not to do. So I feel like that's one of the reasons why we kind of tend to be like, oh, okay, But it has a big impact. And it's actually the biggest toggle that you can directly influence, when it comes to how many calories you're burning. Because that 70%, your BMR, you can influence that by building muscle, but it takes months, years. In the short term, it's going to be that daily step count. If you're usually around 8K, which I am, probably worth it to bring that up during a fat loss phase. It's going to definitely help you burn more calories, keep you in a deficit. It's also the most adaptive component of your metabolism, right? When people diet, when you're in a deficit, those steps kind of tend to go down. That's for sure what I noticed, right? I thought it was my phone, which is dumb actually, but my step count was like around 4,000 at one point, not for that long, but I was like, oh shit, like you really don't notice. And I know this obviously as a coach, and I tell people this. Here I am in a deficit, and all of a sudden my steps are like half of what it was,
Right.
And exactly, like you don't really notice that much. You might be talking with your hands a little bit less, getting off the couch less. I didn't want to go for a walk. I would take the car to the gym a lot, etc. Now, walking as cardio is kind of like one way to approach fat loss, right? But it's not really the same either. I want to briefly touch on this because I see this a lot too, right? Like, oh, I'm doing just walking for cardio. Like, I guess it depends. And what's maybe cool to point out too, I'm a little bit all over the place now, but go back to that study. The intensity of walking actually did not seem to affect the benefits.
Oh, right.
Which is actually a good point to bring up because I want to touch on this cardio thing. So technically, when we talk about calories burned, we could do walking as cardio, right? But when we think what actual cardio is, which would be more intense, right? The heart rate goes up. for working on our cardiovascular health that would happen at higher intensities, right? So in a way, sure, we could do it instead of cardio, but it's not going to be actual cardio, which is okay because cardio doesn't have to be the main driver of fat loss. It shouldn't be, at least. Big misconception, but okay. That's what I'm doing right now. I've been dieting. I'm hitting my 10K steps, and I'm actually not doing any cardio. I will do that again, however, because I'm noticing I need that for other reasons, cardio reasons.
Yeah.
I noticed that that's definitely been, going down a little, but that's okay. I'm going to reverse soon. I'm going to have more food again, and then I'll start cranking that up as well. Now, you already touched on the additional stress management benefits, so I don't have to really get into that, other than the fact that in a deficit, which is a big stressor, you want to manage that overall stress load. And I mean, we literally just did a stress podcast on that, so go back if you haven't checked that one out.
Mm-hmm.
But even in terms of like fat loss maintenance, like one of the number one things you can do to keep the weight off, to eat at like a normal amount, is keeping your steps up. Because what happens if you work yourself up to 10, 12K steps and then go down once you're at maintenance, you might be gaining weight, Don't want that.
Right.
So long story short, try to get your steps up and try to keep them up, and try to look for excuses to move more. I really noticed when I was at the airport, I went up and down a couple flights of stairs. Not a single time I saw anyone else on those stairs. They're all in the escalator, right? Mm-hmm. I really noticed, because usually just some people, but
right.
I was like the only one. I was like, shit. I would be on that escalator if it wasn't for me paying attention to my step count, But it makes a big difference, because think about this. If every time you go for that more convenient option, right? The escalator, the elevator, driving, whatever, in no time, your steps are going to be half of what it could be. It's going to have an impact on health, fat loss, etc. Okay, enough about the benefits and all that. I already kind of shared mine with taking the stairs, but okay. How would you kind of apply this with clients? Bringing their step count up. Something that's maybe not even a purposeful walk.
Yeah, so a little touch on the airport thing. So I was in the airport recently. If you get there early enough, just walk around. It's a good time to people watch, right? I I like to people watch creepily, but I increased my steps there by 3,000, right? Versus sitting, and then now I'm going to be on the plane sitting for another 2 hours, right? So it's a really good opportunity when you're at an airport to get in more steps. As far as how I implement them with clients, so everyone, again, it's schedule wise what they can do. I'm always encouraging them to when you're at the grocery store, you're going shopping or something like that, park far away, right? Park far away from the door. You could easily gain a pretty significant amount just from that, going back and forth with that. I'm always doing that. I'm literally parking at the end of the parking lot to get in more steps. Clients who are working from a computer, people are really stuck to their computers, and I understand. So if we can just a few times over the course of the day, whether it's 5 to 10 minutes, just get up, set some reminders, get up and just walk around the house or walk around the office or wherever you're at and increase a little bit from there. It's better than nothing, right? Yeah. It's better than just sitting down for 6 hours straight. It also is going to help with productivity. And that's been shown and proven, essentially. So outside of that, what I do suggest too is on their lunch, you're kind of, what is it? 2 birds, 1 stone here, where you're taking an hour lunch if you have it, if you have 45 minutes, whatever it is. Take the first half to eat and then take the second half and go for a walk outside. That way, again, it's going to help with productivity. Then you're also it's going to help with digestion too. It's a post-meal walk. So that's an easy way to get a little bit more in. You could, if you have the ability, go for a walk in the morning. Again, you're getting that morning sun. That is going to help with sleep at night. But I mean, it could be like half an hour. Like me, I have the ability. I haven't been doing it recently because I have my treadmill under my desk. So while I work, I'll just be like taking really slow steps. But when I didn't have this, I would get out in the morning and do, a 10 to like half an hour walk. It's a pretty good chunk. And I would like set a goal for myself. And I do this with clients, like set a goal for yourself, like X amount prior to noon, right? That way you're getting some out of the way. You don't have like a bunch to do at the end of the day. Like Johan said, taking the stairs anywhere you can. Another little hack I also implement with my clients is pre and post workout. So getting in 1,000 steps pre-workout, 1,000 steps post-workout, whether that's on a tread or outside, whatever. So like I'll do it on my Assault Runner. Again, you're prepping for your workout. And then again, it's helping you recover from your workout too, right? You're getting kind of a cool down in that way. And then taking calls on walks. That's a big one. Those rack up really quick. If you have the ability to, like, obviously if you're on Zoom, might be a little bit harder. But if you can be on Zoom and you're in a meeting, you can shut that camera off. You go on a walk, might as well. But the calls those rack up really quickly. Cause like I could be on like an hour call, right? And just think about how many steps I'm getting in, right? So even just 5 to 10 minute calls. Yeah. So those are some. Is there anywhere else?
I mean, you mentioned before and after your workouts. Like I've been doing it during my workouts.
Yeah. I do it too.
I was like too on my phone too much, So like a minute rest or 2 minutes turned into like 5. I was like, fuck this. Mm-hmm. Let me figure out something else. And then I forgot what podcast it was. But I remember someone mentioning, hey, they looked at, I think it might have even been a study. Don't quote me on this, but I think it might have been a study where they actually had people walk in between sets, right? And mm-hmm. It adds up. And that's what I've been doing too. Like I
do that. Yeah, I've been doing that for a while.
It's not a crazy amount, but like it helps, It keeps you from sitting on your phone because you know how it goes. You start scrolling and it's like half an hour later.
It's not good.
I was thinking about the mentorship we did to do walking around on Zoom. Like maybe that's what we're doing.
Is that why you were laughing? I'm like, why is he laughing?
Yeah. I was just like visualizing that for a second.
Yeah, make sure you shut your phone off because people will puke.
I think there's like this TikTok dude who has like a crazy setup. He has like the laptop, like a thing on his body with a green screen behind him. And he goes on like rugby fields and stuff. I think.
Oh, that's funny.
It's like a TikTok dude. He's taking a step serious.
Yeah.
No, but like, there's a lot of easy ways to get your steps up, right? I think we tend to sometimes overcomplicate things once again, and it's almost like hitting your protein, right? I really like that step count goal for like before noon, mm-hmm. Which I've been trying to do as well. Like I try to hit 5K just to be like halfway done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because a couple of weeks ago, I might be an idiot for doing this, but like I was walking up and down the apartment just to like finish my 10K steps.
Yeah. People do. I used to do that too. Like during the pandemic, I was going up in, like I lived in my loft and I didn't have this at the time or the treadmill. I was just going up and down the hall.
And sometimes you got to do it,
Yeah. You gotta.
There's a coach on Instagram as well. And, or not just on Instagram, but I follow him on Instagram. Darren Cartel from the UK. Do you know him?
No.
Wait.
He's
is friends that with James Smith?
Yes.
And I started following him when he was on his way to Australia. This is like 2020, and he was in quarantine for 2 weeks in a hotel room, which he was not allowed to leave. Like food was delivered to his room.
I've seen that, yeah.
He had a friend like deliver like a soul bike to the hotel room, which was sick. But like he would actually get 10K steps like in a tiny hotel room every single day for like 2 weeks. And I was like, fuck yeah, this is really
That's cool, commitment and dedication. Commitment. Love it.
Yeah, 100%. And maybe that's an extreme example, but it is possible, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of the easiest things we can do for our health and fitness in general.
Yeah, and you have to try not to look at it as like all or nothing, because people tend to do this where it's like, if they can't get a half an hour walk in, they don't go. It's like, well, just go for 5, you know?
Yeah.
So it's better than nothing.
Yeah, better than nothing. And you get used to it too. So if you're like at say 3,000 and you got to bring it up to 4, it might sound like a huge change. It's not that bad, right? In the beginning, maybe, sure. I agree. You know? But then the 4,000 becomes normal and you're like, hey, you know what? Let me try to hit 4,500 and 5,000.
Yeah.
And in no time, it adds up and you're like feeling better energy mentally, you know, fat loss becomes easier. Just so many benefits, as you mentioned.
I'm always looking, I was laughing about this with one of my mentees. We're always thinking about steps. How can we get more steps? And I was like, gotta take the garbage out, steps. Gotta go to the mailbox, steps. And we were dying. She's like, mowing the lawn, steps.
For sure. I purposely went up and down to take out the trash like twice.
Yeah. You know? When we were renovating the house, he's like, you're on dumpster duty. I was like, yes, tons of steps.
Yes. Great. It's fun too. And what I really like, even without tracking, like macros, like I'm big on macros still, you know, and I do like food wise, I believe that's the best way to do it, but we'll talk about that another time.
Yeah.
But what I also do is tracking habits with our habit tracker. And with a lot of people, we just set that goal.
Same.
Daily steps. Or it's like daily steps and your macros. Even if it's those two things, like that's huge already. If you can hit your macros every day, you can hit your steps every day, you're actually killing it, you know? So a little tip as well, if you want to do that, you know, if it's difficult to get your steps up, like try to track it with the habit tracker, you know?
Right, exactly. Actually, I have a few clients where getting out on walks is one of their main stress management tools. And if they are really stressed, right, or they're struggling, I literally will ask, have you been going on your walks? Have you been going on your daily walks? And they'll be like, well, I've been lacking on a little bit. So we increase it. And again, the stress then starts to reduce, or the stress, how it's affecting them, you know, affects them less. It's such a powerful tool when it comes to stress management.
It's the best.
Yeah.
We talked about all the benefits. We talked about how to get your steps up, how great it is for fat loss, for health, etc. So, little takeaway for today. A lot more. Go outside. Go outside. Go get your steps in. And we will talk to you next week.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you for listening. If you want to help us grow the show, please make sure to leave us a 5-star rating or share this episode on your Instagram stories. Now, if at any point you feel like you need more help, you can always reach out to Kristine or myself directly via any of the links in our show notes, because we're here to help. Thanks again, and I'll talk to you in the next episode.